This brand that we worked with, we managed to scale them from doing 12 to 19K a month all the way up to a 7-figure run rate by just incorporating emails. Email marketing provides the foundations for any hyper-profitable e-commerce brand. And in this video, I'm going to be lifting the curtains and showing you exactly how we're able to consistently generate our e-commerce partners 30% of their monthly recurring revenue through email marketing alone. So let's jump right into it. The name of the game when it comes to email marketing is to maximize your revenue whilst minimizing your churn rates. To do this successfully, you need to make sure you have a careful balance between the volume at which you're sending your emails and making sure that the right message is sent to the right person at the right time. So I'm just gonna jump over to a slide share real quick where I'll be breaking down the 3 core pillars that you need to know in order to do email marketing successfully for any e-commerce business for that matter and generate that elusive 30% monthly recurring revenue through your email channels. So to do this correctly, you need to achieve a careful balance between sending volume and making sure you're sending the right message to the right person at the right time. So I actually made a few slides going over in detail exactly what I call the 3 pillars of email. So essentially what this breaks down to is your flows, your campaigns, and lastly, list growth and nurture. So on YouTube, a lot of people have been teaching about flows and campaigns. However, they kind of neglect teaching you how to actually grow your list, and more importantly, how do you actually retain people on your list and keep them engaged within your list, because email as a channel, it's not as interactive as say something like Instagram or maybe Facebook, where there's direct call to actions outside of, hey, just buy my product, right? So I'm gonna show you guys exactly how to grow your list and nurture it as well. But first things first, flows. This is by far the lowest hanging fruit you can do for your e-commerce business. And that is number 1, get your core flows built. So out of these 4, I've basically prioritized the top one as get your core flows built, because without those core flows, you're not gonna be making money anyways. So you might as well get a basic version of all core flows set up. And I actually have a video for that linked in the top right hand side of this video. Please watch that after you understand what email marketing is through this video. So after you get all your core flows built out, you want to be able to split test each email individually to hit specific desired KPIs, which I'm going to show you in the third part of this video. So once you actually hit that, you're then able to extend the flows until you see diminishing returns. And I'll get to that later as well. In terms of creatives and copy for flows, you need to update them once or twice a year, or quarterly if you have the capacity for it. The reason this is because you're gonna see diminishing returns and the performance of the flows drop over time if you're not constantly refreshing the creatives. Especially for things like the post-purchase flows, you really wanna be making sure that they're up to date and they're contextualized within whatever time frame you're sending them on. And the reason is because let's say someone buys from you repeatedly over and over again, you're gonna not wanna send the same emails to them over and over again because over time they will be desensitized. Here is the list of flows in rough order of magnitude that you actually need to have built out. The way we split flows up is the pre-purchase flows, so anything that happens before someone actually makes an initial purchase from you guys. And then the post-purchase flows, which is everything after the initial purchase. And lastly, I just have a few miscellaneous flows in there that really help you nurture, build the list, and help you with other aspects of the business that isn't kind of directly revenue generating, but they are still extremely useful to have, especially if you do things like paid advertising and things of that nature. In the pre-purchase flows, we have in order of magnitude, number 1 gonna be your welcome or abandoned checkout flows. Like the welcome flow should generate you more revenue in theory if you have a really strong and high converting pop-up form. However, second to that is going to be your abandoned checkout. So this is a flow where if someone new initiates checkout at your store, types in their email but doesn't quite finish buying the item, then they'll be chased with this flow. Next is going to be your abandoned cart flow and your abandoned product and your restock alert flows. Abandoned product is essentially when someone views content, so views a product page on your site and they don't end up completing the purchase. This is the flow that's going to be triggered. And lastly, with the restock flow, this is a flow that will be triggered. Let's say if you always have stock issues because you're selling multiple SKUs, people can insert their emails into the box to collect their emails, and then when the time comes, they will be sent a restock alert encouraging them to buy the item that was earlier out of stock. When it comes to the pre-purchase flows, number one is going to be your post-purchase flows number one and post-purchase flow number two. The difference between the two is for the first version of it, it's basically sending it out to unique customers, so people that are first-time buyers to your store. The second one is sent out to people that have repeatedly bought from your store, so anyone that have come back. And the reason this is so important is because you want to distinguish the two and tailor the messaging to your repeat buyers to give them that extra incentive to buy from you in the future, and to really build a sense of, hey, like, I know you're a customer and I've seen that you've shown loyalty to us. We really appreciate that and we genuinely really do take that to heart. Let me give you some extra offers or maybe give you some extra incentive as a little thank you. Next is the restock reminder. So the restock reminder is not quite the same as the restock alert. Restock reminder is basically just reminding the person, for example, if you sell consumable products like supplements, this is simply a reminder. Hey, look, we saw that you bought this item X days ago, maybe 30 days ago. We're thinking that, you probably want to restock your item before you run out of said supplement to continue enjoying the benefits our products provide. Next is the cross/upsell. So if you're selling multiple, if you're not just a one product store, this is really helpful. For example, if someone buys a bracelet for men, right? They might also want to have a necklace piece or something along those lines to add to their collection. And the cross/upsell flow does just that. And lastly, it's the customer win back flow. So this flow is sent out to anyone who hasn't purchased from you guys in a while. And the goal of this is, hey, we're just going to give you some extra incentive to win back the customer and get their business again. Lastly, these are the flows that are kind of neglected the most, and that's our miscellaneous flows. So sunset and unengaged flow is one where it helps you unsubscribe people who haven't engaged with your emails over an extended period of time automatically. So this is really helpful when it comes to list hygiene and things like of that nature. And the next three flows actually are flows that I haven't really seen talked about. And these are incredibly important if you want to better segment your list and also help with the other aspects of your marketing. So that would be things like Facebook ads and YouTube ads and things of that nature. So UGC collection, UGC stands for user generated content. Essentially, it's basically your customers taking a selfie or giving a video testimonial for your company and your brand. This is really powerful as UGC ads are the highest converting amongst all types of advertising when it comes to Facebook, YouTube, and things of that nature. So having a huge bank of user-generated content is going to help whatever agency, freelancer, or in-house media buying team you guys have out massively when it comes to putting together ad creatives and things of that nature. I know last year for clients, like, we sent out UGC blasts on their behalf and we were able to collect some really incredible videos from the customers. Next is the review collection. So basically, if someone has purchased a product and hasn't requested a refund, you might want to just ask them, hey, would you care to leave a review on our site? This is really great for building trust with people that are first-time visitors to your store. So review collection is really great, and you can even incentivize them to leave positive reviews by either giving them free products or just bigger discounts and things of that nature. And lastly, tagging flows. So this helps enrich the contacts in your list. So for example, if you're like a jewelry business and you have a male collection and a female collection, if someone purchases from the male collection, then you might want to tag them as a man. And then if someone purchases from the female collection, you might want to tag them as a woman. So in the future, when you send out best seller emails, you could actually send directly and based on their demographic kind of divide your list. And it's super helpful. You can also have a VIP tagging flow, which tags people who have spent above a certain threshold with you guys as VIP customers. So in the future, you know that, okay, these people have bought from us repeatedly. So we can just give them an offer and they'll probably purchase from us, and they're going to be a really high converting segment. Next, I want to talk about the campaigns, some common big mistakes people make, and then where to spend your time and how to actually work efficiently with emails. One of the biggest kind of pain points I hear prospects talk to me about, so people that we want to potentially work with, is they simply don't have the time for emails. And if you're a small brand, I totally get that. Like, you're wearing so many hats within your company. So I'm going to be covering time efficiency and how to actually use your time wisely when it comes to emails so that you can focus on the more complicated tasks within the business, such as Facebook advertising or maybe product development and design and things like that. Then I'm going to talk a bit on segmentation, and lastly I'm going to answer the biggest question I get all the time about email campaigns, and that's how many campaigns should you actually send every single week, every single month, etc. So when it comes to the biggest mistake, there's kind of two biggest mistakes, but they fall under the same umbrella, and that's either having no segmentation whatsoever, so you're doing what's known as newsletter or weekly email blasts, where let's say your list is 50,000 and you just send one email to the entire list and spray and pray hoping something converts. Or on the polar opposite side of the spectrum, you have over complex segmentation, right? And that's basically when a brand segments their list so minutely that they're wasting a lot of time sending different emails to really small segments of their massive list. And what happens is, there's so many variables and moving cogs that it's very hard to know exactly what converts and optimize around that. And also, if you're sending to a list, let's say less than 1,000 people, it's just not really worth your time. If you're a big brand, that is. So to give you an example of this, one of our clients, they're at a multi-7-figure annual revenue rate, right? And they were sending emails to lists size of like 157 people. That's just not a wise use of their time. And that segment wasn't like an extreme VIP list or anything. It was just a smaller segment, and they managed to generate between $30 to $60 from that single email. So that was something that we had to really hammer in with them. So which brings me on to actually time efficiency, how to actually be efficient with your time and capital when it comes to allocating maybe the time of an in-house team member to email marketing, or if you're working with a freelancer and paying on an hourly basis, then how do you actually direct them to spend the least amount of time and get you the most amount of revenue. So obviously, if you were to have us do your email marketing, we allocate the time for ourselves. But when it comes to managing your own in-house team and freelancers, you really need to be cautious of this. Time efficiency, right? One of the biggest things is just focusing on getting the core flows in place and making sure you're sending to segments that are large enough to actually be worth your time. Another thing is when you split test the various kind of elements within your emails, make sure to split test high impact variables first. So to give you an example of this, right? One of the first split tests when I was new to email marketing, this was a mistake that I actually made as well, was split testing things like whether or not to use emojis in subject lines. That is such a low impact test that it's almost not even worth running until you know exactly what works and what doesn't for your emails. So something that's high impact to test would be general subject lines and preview text combinations. Another really high impact variable you could be testing is the time of day which emails are being sent, or alternatively the segment that you're actually sending to, which kind of brings me on to segmentation as well. So segmentation is kind of complicated, but it's also really easy at the same time. I'm not going to go into too much into depth on how to segment and how to test and the testing framework that we use in-house for segments, but I'll just give you just a few segments that I know to be performing, and they are going to be the highest ROI segments to be sending to for you guys. So depending on the brand size of your brand, a good way to know which is a engaged segment is basically just creating segments that have opened or clicked your emails in the past X number of days. So if you're a smaller brand, this can go all the way up to 180 days. If you're a slightly larger brand, around 60 to 90 days is more than adequate for this segment. Next is frequency. This is a huge question I get asked all the time, and it's like, how many campaigns should I send? And again, same question gets asked about flows, like how long should my flow be? And my answer to that is like, how long is a piece of string? It's however many you need it to be. And the way we do this is we generally send 1 to 3 campaigns a week depending on the client. And the way we find that out is we start off with 1 campaign a week. Remember the whole thing about maximizing revenue and minimizing churn. We start off with 1 campaign in a week, and then we progressively overload them to maybe 2 or 3 in a week should the KPIs align. So the reason why you don't just send out 3 campaigns straight away is because if you're not getting the target KPIs, then you're probably landing in spam. So sending too many emails is actually going to harm the health of your list severely. Now, lastly, let's talk about growth and nurture. So when it comes to nurturing your list, your sunset unengaged flow is going to be one of your best friends. Don't be too afraid to lose emails in the beginning, because a lot of brands that we work with who haven't taken care of their list at all, we end up not being able to send to, let's say, 30% of the list right off the bat, just because it will force us to land in spam and things like that. It's really important when you first start sending emails, like, to clean your list manually. Make sure you're sending to people who are somewhat engaged or have engaged or at least signed up recently to your list, so that they actually understand that, oh, you know, I signed up to this list 3 days ago, I'm expecting some emails. Next is monitor your churn rate, which I'm going to talk about the target metrics right now. So in terms of flows, open rates, we're always looking at between 40 to 65% open rates on most first emails. And then how you set the KPIs for that is, let's say you get 60% open on your first email, then you should expect something along 50 to kind of 55% on the second email, so a 5%-ish decrease after every single email, and you generally never want to fall below 30% open rate for your flows. Another thing you could test with flows is, depending on the offer, flows should have very high click-through rates. So if you're giving them a discount, then, you know, the click-through rate should be much higher. Up to 15% we've seen personally for some emails, on the first email that is, and then again a slight decrease on the second, third, and fourth and subsequent emails. With campaigns, we're always targeting a 20% or above open rate. This also depends on the rapport you've already built with your community outside of the emails. So that would be things like on social media platforms, YouTube, and things like that. One of the brands we're working with at the moment is able to get like 35% open rates just because of the rapport that they have built with their community over the years. Next is a 3% unique click-through rate. This is really important because one of the biggest mistakes I see people making in their emails is like they try to sell the product rather than the click. And this is the same mistake, you know, that people make with paid advertising as well. Like with Facebook ads, a lot of people try to sell the product or the service on the initial ad, whereas you should just be selling the click. And the product page or landing page or wherever you're driving the traffic to is supposed to help you make the sale. Now, on to churn rates. So with churn rates, you want to make sure that your bounce rate is less than 0.5% and your unsubscribe rate is less than 0.3% and your spam is less than 0.1%. The reason why you don't want to go above this is because you don't want to kind of kill your domain, because once you kill your domain, you just need to kind of get a new one and warm that one up completely fresh. And it's a really dangerous territory to be in because it takes a long time to warm up a domain, and you know, it's going to cost you a lot in terms of opportunity costs. Let's talk about list growth. How do you actually grow a list? Well, first of all, you want to have a extremely effective pop-up form. The pop-up form is essentially the form that collects emails, and you see it on many e-commerce sites. You know, they're offering like a 5 to 15% discount if you give them their emails, and that's the kind of form that's the most effective from what we've seen. Like if you don't have an offer, the enrollment rate is going to be much, much lower. When it comes to pop-up forms, and a huge mistake I see people making is just displaying the pop-up form right off the bat on the site as soon as a web visitor lands it. This could actually increase the bounce rate of your web store. So a better way to do this would be to set it to something like show exit intent, scrolls 50% down the page and stays on your website for more than, let's say, 6 to 12 seconds. You're gonna get less people seeing the form. However, the quality of the people seeing your form is gonna be much higher. You don't risk having a very high bounce rate from your site because a pop-up form generally could be considered quite intrusive if they're not interested in the site or aren't aware of what you guys are selling initially. Another way to grow your form is through viral giveaways or maybe collaboration giveaways. So when you give away a product, you know, you can collect their emails, and if you do it on platforms such as Gleam.io or any of those sites, you can have them follow your Instagram and things like that as well, which is why it's called viral giveaways, because you gain omnipresence with whatever audience you're targeting. However, with the just the regular email collection, that's been extremely popular. with our clients. So last year when we ran email collection campaigns, for example, with the giveaway collection, dedicated giveaway collection pages, we were giving away free stuff, discounts, things like that. And we were able to use paid ads, such as like on Facebook, Instagram, and things like that, to drive traffic to those collection pages. And we were able to collect the emails that way of people. If you want to go down the ads route, there's actually something you should be aware of. When you use ads to drive traffic to collect the emails, we tried two different ways. Once we did it only with our retargeting ads, so we were retargeting web visitors, abandoned carts, and things like that to join the giveaway. And the list we were able to build off the top of that was highly converting and was a positive ROI for our clients. However, the list that we built through cold traffic and retargeting converted at a much lower rate. And the reason is because some people would just give their emails to enter a free giveaway and have no intentions of buying your products, aka this is the emails that we were generating from cold traffic. So you don't want that. What you want is people who have already shown interest in your brand, in your products, for them to be giving you their emails. That way they know exactly what they're getting themselves into. They already like your product. So if you attack them with a giveaway flow, they're more likely to convert rather than cold traffic. So if you just did what I told you successfully, it should look something like this. So this is a brand that we've managed to scale successfully from between 12 to 19,000 in monthly recurring revenue to a 7-figure run rate just by having an effective email and promotional strategy. So if you didn't quite catch that, on screen right now is a screenshot of the steps that we roughly took in order to scale this brand to a 7-figure run rate. Hey guys, so now I wanted to thank the sponsors of this video, me. So this channel isn't really big enough to get sponsorships officially, so I need to sponsor it myself and try to monetize you guys somehow. So my name is Boyan and I run an email marketing agency, and we help e-commerce stores generate over 30% of their monthly recurring through email marketing channels alone. So if you're an e-commerce brand owner out there doing more than $20,000 a month and you want help with your email marketing, link down below is my scheduler. Book in a call with me and I'll see if I can help you out. And worst case, if it's not a good fit, you're just going to get 15 minutes consultation from myself. I'll give you some actionable tips for your email marketing with your brand. So yeah, book in a call, links down below to my scheduler.